Okay, this is the Wellfleet Board of Health, Wednesday, July 14th at 5 p.m. held virtually. And the Board of Health on the agenda, the first thing is Title V variances at 71 Catboat Road by Ellis. And does everybody have the plans?
Yes.
Okay. So, Jason, you want to talk to us? Are you there?
Sure. Can you
Jason?
guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Hey guys, so this is a septic upgrade. This property is a 2-bedroom house and it currently has a cesspool that's down close to the salt marsh. And what we're looking to do is upgrade and put in a new 2-bedroom leach area and a new 1,500-gallon septic tank and an Orenco Advantech system. And we're also looking to relocate the well to the southern side of the property. There's not a lot of room at this site, and so there's not a lot of options. So we have a number of variances we're looking for. We're looking for a 5-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the lot line for parcel 107. 5-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the lot line, which would be Catboat Road. An 8-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the foundation. And we're looking for a 19-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the existing well for parcel 84. That's the parcel across the street.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for a 19-foot variance from the proposed leach area to our proposed relocated well. We're looking for a 21-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the top of the coastal bank. We're looking for a 10-foot variance from the proposed septic tank to the top of the coastal bank, an 11-foot variance from the proposed Orenco unit, which would be the pod itself from the top of the coastal bank. We're looking for a 3-foot variance from the proposed pump vault to the top of the coastal bank. And we're looking for a 21-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the coastal bank. And then from the Wellfleet Board of Health regs, we're looking for a 28-foot variance from the proposed leach area to the edge of the salt marsh. And we're looking for a no reserve area. So it's pretty straightforward. It's already been through and approved with conservation. So this is the last step.
Yeah, that was my next question. If it had gone to conservation. Okay. We did a site visit today, and I think that you know it's a real small lot there, and I think you did a great job in getting everything in. So I don't know. Are there any questions from anyone on the board?
No, I concur, Janet. I thought it was well done. Are there any further plans for this house, or is it just it's not going on the market or anything that you know of?
No, they just know that
Okay.
it's a cesspool, and
That's great.
they've known for a few years that they've had to do this, so they're just ready to go.
Excellent.
Okay.
Great.
No, we're really trying to.
I think the
focus
big thing.
yeah.
Yeah, the big thing is that we really make sure that there's the increased habitable, area doesn't, that doesn't change. That there's no increase in the habitable area. So, but that's an art.
One thing to note. Yeah, one thing to note too, that this actually has a 2-bedroom leach area design. So
Right.
that actually requires a 2-bedroom deed restriction on it as
Okay.
part of your approval.
Excellent.
So just make sure you include that as part of your motion.
Very
Okay.
good.
You got it.
Well
Can I
done.
ask a question? Jason,
Yes, Sophie.
what is the size of the lot?
The size of the lot.
Oh,
10,680.
80.
Order.
Yep.
Okay,
Order.
thank you.
Okay. Can we have a motion?
Yes,
Do we
do
want a
it.
motion? Are there any other questions from
No.
anybody?
Nope, I'm fine.
Okay,
Okay.
I move to approve the J.C. Ellis design plan dated 4/15/21 and grant the 12 variances requested in the letter of 7/1/21 for the upgrade of the septic system to serve a 2-bedroom structure, a grandfathered non-conforming dwelling with respect to nitrogen loading, using the Advantex AX20 denitrification technology under the general use approval category. Design flow to be limited to 228.66 gallons per day to serve a maximum of 2 bedrooms. No increase in habitable area or conversion of use without Board of Health review. New well installation requires permitting, well water testing, deed recording, IA monitoring, and an annual inspection of pumps, alarms, and other equipment.
Okay, and that deed restriction just happens, Hillary, then, right?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. We issue it
Okay,
and they
okay.
record it.
Got you. Okay.
Okay, I'll second that.
Excellent.
All in favor? All in favor? Aye.
Nick, aye, aye.
Aye,
Janet, aye.
Gary.
Have fun,
Okay.
Jason. Okay. But before we go any further, Gary and Nick, I talked to Janet and Hillary about this. I actually have a job now. So I don't gotta work till 5 o'clock. So we'd like to maybe in the future meetings, it's 5:30. Would that be okay with you guys?
Fine.
Fine with me.
That's fine by me.
Me
Yeah,
too.
fine. Hey,
Thank you. I appreciate that, gentlemen.
You both?
Not a problem.
All right, so now Hillary, now you want a discussion on wastewater and implementation. Okay, what are we
Yeah,
supposed to do?
I wanted to bring this back up because I think we need to come to some consensus about how we want to handle this, whether we want to look at putting in a regulation now for the enhanced IAs that we looked at several months back. We haven't looked at it in a while. Or I guess my recommendation is that we hold off on just instituting a regulation like that until we look at all of our Board of Health regulations for an upgrade or revamping of the whole septic system section, and just sort of approve these enhanced IAs on a voluntary basis. But I wanted to hear from the board, you know, what your thoughts were.
Well,
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
couple of things from me, Hillary. In talking with Brian Dudley on other stuff a little bit ago, we talked a little bit about this. I remember I talked to you a little bit.
Yep.
When he called me, and he suggested that his suggestion, and I think it was a wise one, is until the wastewater
comprehensive
plan is really in place and solidified, so that we know what areas are going to be served by that wastewater plan. He was thinking that maybe we should hold off on that IA kind of a thing
Mhm.
until
On the
that's done.
regulation. On the regulation.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
And you agree with that, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't want us to move ahead in a piecemeal direction in our regulations. I think we need to holistically look at the wastewater section. I like what Truro did
Yeah, the cesspool.
with
Yeah,
the cesspool, and I'm also sort of intrigued by the upgrades requiring IA on sort of the upside down lots. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but the concept is interesting. And so by upside down lots, I mean our small lots that
With
have 5
big flow.
bedrooms, grandfathered.
Big flow.
Yeah. So I think that's something I'd like us to consider. Although I'm hesitant to jump into regulation, of course, without a comprehensive approved plan. So I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. The approved the wastewater comprehensive thing really needs to happen.
Right.
We're inching closer, but we're not there yet. That's why I sort of think if folks want to voluntarily upgrade to these at this point, that's great, and I'm supportive of that.
Right.
But as far as the regulations go, I want us to look at our whole regulation set before just picking one regulation and tossing it in.
Because Because that ties together with the eliminating the cesspools, because some people are not going to be able to eliminate their cesspool without IA.
Correct. So what I also want you to know is that the Conservation Commission is considering a new regulation, and they'll be discussing this, you know, in the next few weeks, of requiring IA technology. And I don't know what the distance is, so don't hold me to it, but possibly, I think within the 300 feet of a wetland resource area is what we had talked about. And it's kind of tricky on that end at the moment, because we have 4 members sitting on the commission right now. We're down 2 members, and 1 member's taking a summer hiatus. But some of our members don't want to approve projects in conservation jurisdiction, which is just 100 feet now or 200 feet from a river, without folks upgrading to IA systems. So,
Wow. There's a crossover there with us.
yes, exactly. That's, you know, so I don't know how we want to work with them, or if maybe a joint meeting
We need to have a joint meeting, I think,
might be
I do.
beneficial.
So Hillary,
because we have to have limits on what they can require for IA, because sometimes it may be a tight tank instead of IA, depending on where it is.
Depending on the location, yeah.
Yeah.
well, Hillary, can I ask a question? Because I'm a little confused about our use of IAs now then. Right now, we don't have a requirement. Is that what you're saying? There's no regulation?
So we require IA now when there's a variance to a water course, or
Okay.
when they're within 100 feet of a drinking water well.
No, I understand that.
Oh.
If you look at the case in point that we just had,
Yes.
Isn't it probable, if not certain, that if Jason had suggested an IA system here, we would have insisted on it?
It would be required because he's within
So the-
proximity to the salt marsh.
So we
So
do
he's
have a
on-
regulation. That's what I'm saying. With as far as the distance, we do have a regulation that
Yes.
we're working under. Because
Yes,
I
absolutely.
thought you were suggesting we didn't have a regulation at all.
Yeah, no, we do.
So we can insist and require in certain circumstances, nitrogen sensitive areas that we put in the,
And we have.
And we
no, we
have.
have. That's what I'm saying. I was just getting confused when you're talking about regulation. You know, what exactly are we?
So
what can we do and get backup? You know, okay.
Okay, so like what conservation, so we have 100 feet to a salt marsh, right? And that's if the system's within 100 feet to the salt marsh, we require the IA. If the system is within 100 feet to a coastal bank, we do not require
No,
IA.
Okay.
But that's the type of situation the Conservation Commission wants to require the IA on, because the coastal bank is at the top, in theory, the water's down below, down this hill, down the slope. And so
No, I understand what you're saying. I just don't want to get the impression that the engineers are determining, who gets the IAs or something like
oh,
that.
No.
Thing, yeah. Okay.
But Gary brings up a good point. It's starting to get a little blurry here.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't like,
you know-
I don't care for it.
Yeah, and when we look back at the article that has been passed by town meeting now, how does that affect us not having a regulation?
Well, so I would say that we don't have a regulation requiring enhanced IA right now.
Right.
We do not have that regulation. So it would be voluntary if folks wake up and say, I'd really like to put in one of these systems. I think it will do good for the environment. I'd like to give it a try. They make an application and we would fund their $1,250 as a subsidy to their installation, but it's not a regular.
$1,050.
Hillary, could you give me the estimated general cost of a Title V versus an IA versus an EIA?
Oh, that's almost impossible.
Yeah, so the
Not even a
different systems have different costs, and depending on where they are, what the installation is. I mean, I would say a standard Title V, and Gary, you can help me out here. is probably around 15,000,
15 to 20,
Okay,
20.
to be safe, say 15 to 20. Sometimes it
And
can
that's
be
what-
cheaper.
Engineering and installation or,
That's in engineering and installation
okay.
for a standard, just a standard gravity, 3-bedroom, nothing special system.
okay.
And then the IA and the enhanced IA, I don't believe there's a big cost differential between them. But they're gonna be upwards of 20 to maybe 30, well, depending on the size of the house, the size of the
And
system
depending on the IA too.
and the technology.
Right,
So
Yeah.
That's
See, that's-
installation. That's not the
that's
test.
not the operation and maintenance, that's just engineering and installation.
The cheapest fast system, Hillary, I think is 10 grand. The
10 grand.
smallest, cheapest fast system.
Okay,
And then
Okay.
they go, there's some fast systems that are like 30,000 bucks or more.
Yeah, depending on the systems.
so,
Go ahead.
so then this $12,500 that we're gonna give as a grant based on the article that was passed is going to be to pay for the enhanced part of the IA or just to help with the IA?
So it's gonna go only for a portion of the enhanced IA. So I think, as I understand it, a homeowner would elect to install one of these systems. They
Yeah.
would procure engineering services, they would install it, then they would submit to the office a bill, and we would issue them a reimbursement based on the system.
Okay, and only enhanced IAs will get that reimbursement.
Correct.
Hillary, if I can understand this now, because when they presented it at the meeting, they were basically saying in the enhanced IA system, the enhanced system versus a Title V. So some of these homeowners we would require to have an AI system in anyway. So
But that would just be just an IA system, not the
So
enhanced.
I'm just saying, we would just subsidize the difference between a regular AI system and the enhanced one. We wouldn't necessarily, may not be $12,000 if we're just going from an Advantex or a Fast or whatever.
You don't
Right.
get it if you have just an AI.
That's the
Correct.
thing. So a lot of these properties are going to be required by us to have an IA system. They can determine, if we can encourage them to go to an advanced system, fine. But the other system will be required. You know
Correct.
what I'm saying? Isn't that
Can
right?
I jump in?
Yeah.
Nick, I'm sorry to butt in, but
No, please do.
most of the IA systems we're talking about are enhanced ones, that those are the most common ones with the nitrogen removal.
Oh, so
you know-
basically the Advantex is an enhanced system then? No?
No.
Yes,
But I think what was promoted to us were the systems that really get down to 3 to 4 to 5 milligrams of
so-
nitrogen.
so-
The effluent, they're different
system-
systems, I think, Gary, they're talking about.
Yes.
they're
That's what
talking about
promoted.
the ones where they add chemicals to it. Is that it, Hillary?
No.
No, it's the
No,
sawdust.
It's the George Hoyfelder layer cake, it's the nitro and the nitrex. So
Yeah,
those
Oh, okay.
So it's
three-
really different, Gary, from the standards that we've been putting in. That's what I'm saying. So, and
Right.
this, if you look at the house, like in point here now, if we had all the regulations in, we would be putting this Advantex in, then we could offer, if you would go another step further, we can subsidize the few $1,000s more to put in the
Gotcha.
advanced, enhanced system. So it wouldn't be, I think, that these places, unless they're putting in an extraordinary system, that they're each going to get $12,500, I don't think, because a lot of
Oh, I
them are
think they will.
already
I
going to
think they
need a
will.
system. They're already going to need a basic.
That's what I'm asking. The
Yeah.
difference between the enhanced
Exactly,
IA
yeah.
and the IA
Right.
is at least 12,500. Am I right, Hillary?
I don't,
We don't know that.
We don't know
yeah,
that.
I don't know that for sure, but I think that the enhanced IA and the IA systems are comparable in price because the layer cake system doesn't have motors and pumps. That just has the layer of sawdust and,
It's labor intensive.
yeah, so it might be more expensive to install, but cost point, I think it's comparable.
So why was it differentiated in the, why is the monies being differentiated for that as opposed to the IA? Because we just have preliminary approval, right? I mean, there aren't
Yeah.
enough of them in the ground long enough to say it's worth a town giving all, you know what I mean? It's not there yet.
They need
Yes.
more
The
data.
data's not
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
The
They need
data's
more
not there.
data. This is still, yeah, right.
Ken, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but hold on a second, Kurt. Just, give
Sure.
us a few more minutes. So, so part of the problem that I had with, the town meeting was, again, we're looking at just two different systems when we were supposed to have three. What was the third system supposed to be?
So it's the nitro, the nitrex, and the layer cake system. So
Okay.
there are three. There are
There
three.
are three, okay. All right.
And we don't have any in the ground in Wellfleet yet.
We don't, I thought we had one or two in the ground now. No, none at all.
Corey did one in Eastham, right, Hillary? Did Corey do one in Eastham?
I don't know that.
He did a layer cake somewhere close.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where.
I think Eastham, yeah.
Okay.
I can ask him though.
Yep.
All right, Kurt, we can give you a couple minutes, but we're just, just general discussion.
Yeah, sure. No, I just wanted to clarify the 12, where the 12.5 came from. That was for that's for basically the wood chip component. So that's the intermediary wood chip box that would be required for, any traditional Title V system as an additional cost. In terms of the IA systems that you're already approving for within 100 feet of watersheds and so on, it's a great question. I think the total cost of those systems is probably higher than the enhanced IA. In other words, a Title V system with the wood chip box. So, there may not be, I mean, what I would do is, I think what would be a reasonable way to look at what you would, require of the homeowner would be that if it's an enhanced or it's an IA system that's being required already, it would be the cost difference between that system and a traditional Title V system with the enhanced component. So it may be less expensive to go with the enhanced Title V system. But in either case, it's a reasonable argument to make that we're already requiring the IA. So you're going to save yourself some money if you go with the enhanced IA, or here's 2,000 to make up the difference or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be 12.5, right? Now, Kurt, is that the wood chip, is that just for the layer cake system, or I'm a little confused about how the nitro, nitrex and layer cake, what the difference
Yeah,
is.
so if you already have a leach field in the ground
Right.
that's working, you probably wouldn't want to dig that up.
Right.
And that's what would be required to do a layer cake, because the layer cake is literally
Right.
putting an underlayment of wood chips underneath the leach field.
Right.
So the more typical installation is one where you do the intermediary nitro or nitrex box.
Oh, that's the box. Okay.
Yeah, that's between the settling tank and the leach field. So that can be retrofit. It can be installed where you've got a failed, you've got a failed,
System, right?
system,
Right.
whatever. But
No, that clarifies it. That clarifies it a lot as far as the use of the enhanced systems, because it may be that we just enhance some of the failed Title V's already or something like that. Or
Exactly.
the systems that are already in, just enhance them.
Yeah. So, and just again to reiterate, the 12.5 really came from, it's just that box, that component is what costs $12,500.
Okay. All right.
Well, thank you, Kurt. All right, so Hillary, so what do we need to do? We're just gonna put this off and wait for the total wastewater management plan, comprehensive plan to be done before we start talking about it? What do you want to start talking about before it gets to that point? You're muted, Hillary.
Sorry, I think we can start to talk about it. I think we should probably have a meeting with the Conservation Commission and see what direction they want to go in, because I don't think we should go in two separate directions, because it's just gonna be more confusing. And if we're all on the same page, I think it makes more sense. I think we can use the money for folks that want to voluntarily upgrade to these at this moment, and see where we land. But I think our first step should probably be to meet with the Conservation Commission and to just start wrapping our minds around, do you want to spend this on voluntary upgrades versus putting in a regulation at this time? So
So Hillary, for like, if another, IA comes in like for the next meeting, would you consider possibly talking to the installer and suggesting this for them? Just say, we got this money that we can chip in, or do you not want to go that route?
I mean, I don't think there's any harm. I don't think there's any harm in saying that, and explaining to the engineers. I mean, maybe we come up with a fact sheet to send to the engineers. We have $12,500 for folks on a voluntary basis if they want to try an enhanced IA versus a regular IA.
Okay. And the only thing I'm gonna say about the Conservation Committee, I don't like people stepping on our toes.
Mm-mm. I'm with
Ken.
Ken.
Yeah, when Ryan and Scott, sent out that email, how, my back got riled on that. They're coming on our turf, which, they should talk to us before they even think about that. Let's get a meeting with them so we can work together to go forward, because, we don't want to be fighting back and forth. So
No, and I hear you loud and clear, and I agree with you. But what's happening is that the Conservation Commission is treading on thin legal ground here when they don't approve projects because folks aren't putting in IA. So
Well, that they own that.
yes, no, of course they own that, but it's getting more difficult to get any project approved because of it, and there's no regulation that they're falling back on. So it's really a legal liability that I think they need to work out, and perhaps a meeting with the Board of Health might assist them in that. But
Right. Because I could see them, instead of requiring innovative technology, them requiring the applicant to go to the Board of Health to discuss
For a
IA
consultation.
technology options,
Right.
instead of them because there's so many different IA systems. When they just say IA, because depending, like we're talking about, some are enhanced, some are not. I mean, are they going to get into that whole fine points of IA? I don't see that's their place.
well, it's an interesting discussion, and like I said, every conservation hearing that we have now seems to come back to well, what kind of septic system do you have? When was it upgrade? It comes back to that. But the applicants, the engineers are saying, but you don't have a regulation. How can you require this without a regulation? So that's being tossed back at them again and again, and
you're gonna be sued.
well, that's what I'm trying to prevent, is a lawsuit here. So I think
Well, I think I just would like to make a statement. I think that I think we're starting to put the carts before the horses here, and I use it plural. I think the fact that we have $2,500 now to utilize in something when we don't have a comprehensive wastewater plan is going to be a challenge. And now we're getting additional challenges. So without that building block of a comprehensive wastewater plan, I don't personally don't really want that to happen. The fact that this article was passed at town meeting without even the Board of Health being having a recommendation in this is a message to the public. And I think it's a message to people on committees.
Yeah.
We're here, we're working, and what for? You're not even asked when town meeting comes.
It's not right.
for a vote on this article. So
I
I think
agree.
this is a very early, premature article that was passed at the town meeting. And I
There you go.
certainly wouldn't want to go ahead with a regulation at this time until there's a comprehensive plan.
I'm with Janet.
I agree with Janet as well. Okay, well,
That
so
was
with
a
this,
I-
we'll,
That meeting.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Very quick.
Sure. I think part of the reason that the wastewater committee felt compelled to push that forward at town meeting was two reasons. One, you couldn't do a regulation with a subsidy if town meeting didn't approve the subsidy. So that's not even an option unless town meetings approved it. The other thing is that Conservation Law Foundation, in the meantime, about a week or two before town meeting, sued the towns of Mashpee and Barnstable because they're not requiring enhanced systems to go in the ground. And Conservation Law Foundation's position was, if you're not either connecting somebody to a sewer or doing something other than Title V, you're not providing any remedial benefit, and you're allowing a very serious problem to continue. And that's what that lawsuit's all about. So the town of Wellfleet actually has the opportunity, gains protection to the extent that we're requiring enhanced septics to go in. So those would be my only two thoughts on it. It's not,
All right, well,
certainly
thank you
nobody
very
is,
much
nobody is.
about that. I appreciate that, Kurt. But again, we can't plan our regulations about the possibility of somebody suing, because that happens all the time in this world.
No, it's not a possibility, Ken. They have.
Well-
The lawsuit was filed. That's what I'm driving at.
And if we had a 208 plan that was comprehensive, there would
We
be no
do.
problem with any
There is-
regulation, but we don't have that. And I think the,
Janet, there is a
and it's the
208.
cart
plan, and
before the
question-
horse.
There is a 208.
Kurt,
there is
let
a
me finish, please. There was the cart before the horse in this situation. There was not the appropriate communication with the Board of Health or dialogue that was promised.
Absolutely.
And I think,
Absolutely.
it's just really, it really doesn't work. I think the summary in the mail out discussion of Article 19 gives every reader the feeling that it's either this or sewers, and we want to save money. I mean, I just felt it was wrong. I mean, and I think the fact that the impetus should be that we can get grants on EIAs, sure, but they have to be totally approved, and they're just pending approval. And that we need more data. We need 15 more in the ground to say, you don't do regular IAs anymore. You don't do Title V's. You just do this. So I don't feel it was transparent, and it certainly didn't feel transparent to me on the Board of Health.
Janet, I just, with all due respect, I've been before the Board of Health, I think several times over the last 5 years. And I think we brought George Hoyfelder to the Board of Health 5 years ago. So we've had an ongoing dialogue with the Board of Health on this particular topic. And so I don't understand.
And nobody's
Jen, what you just said is
technology.
there's a lack of transparency, and I'm trying to address that. I don't understand. In other words, what I'm trying to learn from you is what would be more transparent to you. How could communication?
Okay, I'm going to tell you, Kurt, if the process was transparent. I'm not talking about the technology. I believe in the technology. I was there for George. What I'm saying is, if the process was
I'm trying to understand what process. What are you? I'm trying to really understand what you're asking us.
3 companies. All right, we're both talking at the same time.
I'm just trying to understand what you.
Kurt, you're here as a guest. Please let Janet talk, please.
We were supposed to have all 3 companies come and make a presentation to us. We had 2. You and Scott went around to lots of committees to get this on the warrant and to get it supported, and you did not come back to the Board of Health. I mean, I'm not talking about transparency about the technology. That's absolutely transparent. I'm talking about the process of how it got approved and needed to get approved straight away. That's all I'm saying. I felt it was premature, and it was the cart before the horse. It was a process. not the technology.
No, I think if Kurt would look at our minutes from the last meeting, he had mentioned he would stop by before town meeting and to review all these issues. I mean, maybe if we knew about some of the things you mentioned about when, you know, what's going on previously, it made things a little bit smoother, but you had mentioned.
I did actually, Hillary and I did have a discussion, and the conclusion was that the Board of Health wasn't going to meet before town meeting. We did actually have that
Oh, we did.
discussion.
All right, well, thank you very much. So now, Hillary, you have a process, so can we move on to the minutes and,
Can I just ask one
Yeah.
question?
Yes,
Do
sure.
we want to see if Brian Baumgartel from Barnstable County, he took over for George, wants to come and talk with us about the enhanced IAs, how the ones
Yeah.
that are in the ground are functioning, and
I
get,
think that would be good. You guys agree that would be good?
That'd be
Yeah,
fine.
And I'd like to hear about the process. I'd like to hear about the process with him, you know? I mean, we have preliminary, so 15 more go in the ground. How long does the data need to happen before it's totally approved? I think those kinds of process questions. Also, the ability to get these grants that were mentioned under Title 19. If we're able to apply for those grants when it's just preliminarily approved. I don't know if grants require that it has to be completely approved. You know, I mean,
sorry.
so the process, I'd like the process questions, yes.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is maybe if we could get Brian Baumgartel and maybe Brian Dudley, because
Yes,
Brian Dudley can talk about the IA program through the state and the approvals and where the state is on the systems, and Brian can detail the science from the test center. So maybe we could enlist both of them and the Conservation Commission sometime in the next couple of months. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
I agree with that.
yes.
So I think I have marching orders for the next step here.
Can I ask
So-
a general
Yes, go ahead,
question?
Nick.
Does
Yeah.
anyone want to start tackling cesspools? Because we could spend this whole allotment of money dealing with cesspools.
Well, yes, I would like to start tackling
mean,
cesspools,
The
but,
whole- Yeah, as
but-
failed systems, yeah, that whole.
but
okay.
I
We
think
need
that,
to wait.
Okay,
and that money is tied to the enhanced IA systems, not just a septic upgrade from a cesspool.
They're kind of tied, all
Okay.
tied. It's all
Well,
kind of
it's all
tied together.
It's all tied together. That's exactly the discretion we have is where we're going to spend it. Exactly.
Right.
It's all tied together, though.
Yes, it is. It's like a puzzle.
Okay. So
Okay.
we're down to minutes. Everybody ready for minutes?
I'm ready for minutes.
Okay. Was I here on April 14th?
No, no,
All right. Well,
no, you weren't.
Okay, well, I
You weren't
can't-
here April 14th, right?
Okay. All right, can I? have
I'm
a
fine
motion
with the
to already
minutes.
approve?
Yeah,
Go ahead. What was that, Gary?
I'm fine with the minutes
yep.
for the 14th.
All right,
I
can
can
I have a
second that.
motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of April 14th, Board of Health meeting.
I have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
301. May 12th, was I there?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the May 12th minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. June 9th, again,
I wasn't there for that.
I was there for that. So I'll make a motion, I'll make another motion to approve the June 9th meeting minutes. All in favor? Go, I need a second.
I'll second. Nick?
All in favor? 3-0.
Aye.
Okay, is there anything else, Hillary, you want to talk about for a second?
Just briefly, the COVID reopening plan was voted on by the Board of Selectmen last night. they wanted to remove the option for any in-person meetings until after Labor Day. So that will be coming out of the plan. I think everything else that you've seen stays. There's this
No in-person meetings, Hillary?
no in-person meetings until after Labor Day.
Is that
Really?
been
Okay.
cleared with the state?
Why?
Because I think Ryan started the discussion and he was worried that if we hold an in-person meeting only, we lack a lot of participation from those folks that aren't comfortable meeting in person, was what I gathered. So the folks that will only
Right.
meet on Zoom or on Teams wouldn't come to an in-person meeting.
Right. P-Town's doing both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder too if it has something to do with videoing the meetings, because when we're on Zoom, all of our meetings are recorded and available to the public to watch.
Right,
And
right.
if it's in person, they're not. So I wonder
Now
if
that we don't have a media person, we can't even, like last night, wasn't able to stream the select board meeting through YouTube because it's done at the library with a media tech and we don't have one now.
Oh,
So, and not only that, they were also concerned with, I don't know, Hillary, if you're gonna bring this up, but there aren't many buildings in the town, municipal buildings in the town that are, the air quality is worth breathing, and having so people in a room with the bad air quality could be an issue.
so. That's where we landed. I thought for sure we want an in-person option, but I was wrong. So that's coming out of the plan. And other than that, we're seeing, a small uptick in Provincetown of vaccinated folks. And I got a call today about potentially two cases of also vaccinated folks working in town. So it's interesting to follow. Truro had 2 cases as well. So it's just something I think we're going to have to continue to monitor closely and reevaluate, as the situation changes.
I'm going to ask a process question. So did the select board have our information that we had put together a plan, or did they make the plan and then now it comes to the Board of Health to get approved?
No, I told them that we worked on the plan.
Process.
We worked on the plan. We met on it back in
Okay.
June, and then we gave it to them as soon as we were done with it. As soon as we were done with it, and after I sent it to the town administrator, I sent it to the department heads and got feedback and changed it and sent it back to the Board of Health. So I clearly described the process.
Okay.
The process that we followed, and they on the meeting kept calling it a regulation. And I said, no, it's not a Board of Health regulation. It's just a reopening plan, but the Board of Health was, involved in it.
Okay. Good.
So
Good.
yes.
All right. Sounds good. So when's our next meeting?
Well, our next meeting is scheduled for the second Wednesday in August.
Second Wednesday. Yeah, what's that day?
Is August
11th.
August 11th, and I'm just thinking about scheduling this meeting with the Bryans and the Conservation Commission.
September.
Well, I was hoping for September because we get Barbara back in September, and I've been looking for a new Board of Health member, and I got a little interest today, so it's kind of exciting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Another person?
I don't want to say it because they said they couldn't come till September. So I think you all know the person though.
All right.
Cool. Well, if you're excited, we're excited.
And Janet, I don't want to talk about it, but I'll give you this, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we all set? Can I have an emotion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. All right. Guys have, hopefully the sun will be out by the time August rolls around, so.
Janet, I'll have that warrant for you tomorrow if you want to, or if you want to just keep yours. And I'll give Hillary a new one.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
Okay.
Unless do you have notes on, I didn't see any notes. I don't know if
No,
you
I
have
don't
notes.
think there's any notes in it. I think I picked it up at town meeting just to have a copy.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
I'll bring you one tomorrow, Hill.
Thank you.
Bye,
Sure.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.